50 years ago, the Vietnam War was at its height. U.S. involvement in Southeast Asia exceeded 500,000 armed forces. More than 58,000 American soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines lost their lives in the conflict. Nearly 400,000 more were left wounded in body, mind, or soul. Today, 2/3 of all Americans are too young to remember those turbulent times. But Vietnam changed the way we look at our nation at war. They came from everywhere, from all across the nation, young men and women of every background and faith. Some volunteered, some were drafted. Whatever the reason, they answered the call to do their duty, just as our troops have always done. We came to know their faces on nightly television. We recognized them as our own, kids from the local neighborhood. We saw the horror and brutality they faced. We mourned the mounting human cost. They fought the war they were given and fought to win. Thrown together in the crucible of combat, they fought for each other, cried for each other, and even died for each other. And in time, many came to love each other as brothers. At Camp Pickett, Virginia, two young men of very different upbringing formed a bond that would be sustained through some of the war's worst fighting. Here to tell the story of Ernest Pete Peterson and Brad Kennedy, our Golden Globe-nominated actor Dennis Haysbert, and my co-host, the distinguished actor Joe Mantegna.
Brad and I shipped out to Vietnam together. We went out as a unit, part of the U.S. Cavalry, the 11th U.S. Cavalry, the Black Horse Squadron. We didn't understand the political part of it. We were young. They say go, you go.
It took us 23 days to make the crossing. Pete and I, we talk on deck. We really got to know each other.
My family lived in a shotgun shack in Durham, North Carolina. My great-grandfather fought for the Union in the Civil War. My father was in Korea. My brother and I, we both served in Vietnam. So with us, service was just expected.
I grew up in suburban New Jersey. Volunteered for the draft because I didn't feel that service should be left to those less fortunate who couldn't avoid it. I wanted to do my part.
Brad was just laid back. It didn't matter where he ate or who he ate with. We sort of gravitated toward each other.
Pete, he was on the gun crew. I was a forward observer. I went out on foot patrols with the line troops.
In the field, it's about survival. There's no safe places. You could be out walking the jungle, snipers out there in the tree, and bang, somebody falls.
You lived with fear all the time.
Never goes away.
The way I dealt with it, I made up my mind I wasn't getting out of there. Some days it was bad. Most times it was worse. You remember Richards?
Charles Richards. Put him on permanent KP duty.
He used to beg to stay over with us in the field when we brought our meals.
One night we let him, and that night we were attacked. He jumped up to man the M60 machine gun, but stepped in front of a bullet before he could get his hands on it. When they came to help the wounded, he kept saying, "No, no, no, take the other guys. I'm okay. I'm okay." He wasn't okay.
This one day, a convoy of armored personnel carriers got ambushed. After we drove off the VC, we had dead and wounded strewn all over the battlefield. I picked this one guy up and started to heft him over my shoulder. My hands felt warm and sticky. The guy begins to slide down, so I use my body as friction to hold him up. It was like this limbo dance with death. And then I realized my hands aren't around this guy. They're in this guy. I laid him on a poncho, knelt over him, and read his dog tag. As I walked away to get the next body, I looked back and saw someone laying another body crossways on top of him, like cordwood stacked up. That's what Vietnam was like.
You don't go into combat and come out the same way. For about 2 or 3 years after I came home, I slept with a gun under my pillow. And I'd get up about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'd sit on my mama's back porch and stare at the woods. After a couple of times like that, my mama said to me, "There's something wrong with you." I said, "No, I'm all right, Mama." And she said, "No, you're not all right. You see, I was waiting for the Viet Cong to come. Some guys never really made it back, not in their minds. My brother was up north in the 3rd Marine Division. He was in some horrific battles. Now he just walks with ghosts."
When I came back from Vietnam, nobody wanted to hear about the war. Nobody wanted to talk about it. That's one of the worst things for a returning veteran, because you need to share your experience.
We didn't get a parade or a celebration. Instead, there were protests. Some people were downright hostile.
It made us feel like outcasts. We needed a place to come together and remember, to feel whole for a little while.
That's what the Vietnam Wall's about. At the wall, the ground is level. Doesn't matter who you are, what you accomplished in life. We're all one there.
Something happened to our DNA when we were in Vietnam. We shared in a blood sacrifice.
Blood brothers.
After we got out of Vietnam, Pete and I lost touch.
Met again right here at the wall, Memorial Day.
I was just glad we were both alive. We made it out.
We got together again on Veterans Day. It's been a tradition ever since. Lots of guys come then. We travel from far and near. We see each other, we embrace and say, "Welcome home, brother," because we didn't get a welcome home.
A lot of the guys are still hurting. They come because they've got buddies on that wall. Guys like our friend Charles Richards. And if my name were up there, I know they'd be there for me.
We all had one thing in common. We stood the watch. And that's what binds us together till the day we die. We stood the watch.
Welcome home, Pete.
Welcome home, Brad.
Good job.